Well, Thanksgiving Day. I was sitting around the house, wanted to kind of go live and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving with the big Black Friday tomorrow, which last year was a pretty big deal. I went out, did a lot of videos, bought several firearms on Black Friday. Um, but now And another thing, if I get a phone call, it's my family calling, I'm going to have to stop. I may do another live later in the day, in the evening. I don't know. But I just wanted to get this out because basically just sitting around the house bored. And I know a lot of people are probably waiting to go to dinner. All right. So I figured I'd go live, and everybody wants to know about Black Friday. And some of the things I'm doing. You can see my 601 build in the back. I ain't supposed to touch or move anything, but I got that out. I've been working on that. We took it out, me and the wife, and we put some rounds through it. Actually, it's an excellent system. Going back to the old days and the old ways they made it was pretty cool. There we go. I knew I'd find some of my loyal followers. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, like I said, I wanted to do a Thanksgiving kind of broadcast, and I've gotten, you have to excuse me, uh, several questions about Black Friday from uh, my subscribers, viewers, whatever. There's been several questions about it. What are you doing or what are you planning? And last year was one of the first times I went. And I remember I bought a 22, the shotgun, and that was about, just the experience, the excitement of it all. But this year, gun sales are down. Okay. And I went to Sportsman's Warehouse and I looked for their Black Friday sale, and there were several pages of firearms. And, there were some 22s that black plastic stock side by side from Brazil that I bought. It's there. It's on a Black Friday sale. I guess that's the only time they sell the damn thing. And the Stoger over and under, that's the black finish with the synthetic stock. Um, and a couple 22s are the only thing in the 200 to 300 price range. Savage Access combos with a scope um, have dropped into hit. Okay, thanks, Jerry. Uh, have gotten up to about, there's some of them depending on the caliber are a little bit under 4, but most of them are a little over at 4 or a little over. And I remember all them years ago when I did the special, all those guns were 350 retail or lower, be it the Savage Access or the Remington had those models with the synthetic stocks. And I think I even got, well, was the Compass before they went on a Thompson Center Compass. They closed out on them, and I know one guy made a video where he bought one in every caliber because they're like $300 a piece or something. And they're not really. They weren't a bad gun. The stock was pretty comfortable, and I don't know if the Remington would outshoot it in terms of accuracy, but for $300, it's not that terrible. I just recently took that thing out and shot it again. Not that horrible in the accuracy department for hunting gun. But ammo's another story. I believe they've uh, overproduced the ammo, and just the sheer cost of the materials, they can't really lower it. Anything that you've found online in the past few months, there is no Black Friday deal where you're going to make out in terms of stuff with ammo. Um, Winchester, I guess, is doing a rebate. But if you look at it, even if you buy a case of 5.56, they're only giving you a maximum of a $50 rebate. Where if you go by the 15% or whatever it is, it should be a 60 some odd dollar rebate. But they're even kind of chiseling you on the rebate. All right, there he is. Good to hear from you again, Joe. Happy Thanksgiving. Um, yeah, so like I said, hopefully my family, they'll be busy raising hell for another hour or so before they try contacting me. But or if they don't forget altogether, they really get worked up on the holidays. They don't contact me. Uh, so that's why I'm glad I'm here. Using Amazon to get car parts. All right. Yeah, so really, also I went to PSA and looked at their Black Friday specials. None of the H&R guns other than M16A1 blemish has got a small thing, and those ain't what I'm interested in. And another thing about retros is the older ones, like the 601 or the Air Force one, the real early one, or the one I'm looking at, and I got my sights set on, is the M16 XM, whatever. Has the totally chrome line bolt. It's the first one the Army tested. The older guns, because like when they were doing Brownells, the AR-10, the prototype AR with the little cocking handle, I'd love to get my hands on one of them, but used, they go for 2K. And I know I can locate a brand new one in the box for 3K. And I really don't want one that much. Uh, but it's a shame because I think that would be cool as hell to have a gun like that. But when they were doing the thing when Brownells was making it, the guy said, "We're going to stop some of these models because we've made them." And the prototype was real difficult because the gas block in the front sight had to be specially made. It's nothing at all like what is on even these standard ones that they're making now. Uh, and he said no one's buying them. So he goes, "We're going to cease making them." And it's kind of a shame. And I guess this has been going on for 6 years. Okay, if you look at the date, see, that's another thing. I'm not an influencer. Somebody doesn't say, "Hey, you got a whole bunch of subscribers and this and that. We're going to send you a rifle and you shoot it and all this," and somebody gives you the ammo. All this crap comes out of my pocket. Okay, so I have pretty much an honest opinion of it. But yeah, you look back, it was all 6 years ago. Then 4 years when Brownells, I guess, stopped making it. So 3 years, sales sucked. You can still get uppers. You can get a 601 or sold out, but they do sell like a 601 upper, which combined with the stuff made at PSA, you could easily build a 601 that's proper. Instead of me, I had to get an Air Force upper and then start modifying it, yanking stuff off, and all this other stuff. The XM16E1, yeah, whatever. I don't know what the hell the designation is. Okay, because there's so many of them. You got the 177s, they got 704s, 703s, but that's probably it. XM16E1. No, they got some uppers. You could get like the little carbine one that they put that flash hider. It's an 11-inch barrel, and they put the flash hider you can attach M203 to and that, and then they pin and weld it. They still have those uppers, but they're in 1 and 7. They're not in the 1 and 12 like I'd like to get. And after fooling with this thing and yanking parts off of it, I'm going to put together a A1, okay? But I'm going to do it with a 1 and 7 barrel. I can get a 1 and 12, but I might have 2 or 3 guns in 1 and 12s. I'd like to see what the gun and the sights would do with a 1 and 7, because this thing here, when I shot it, them 62 grain bullets at 50 yards, half of them were tumbling and ripping the backstop to shreds. So yeah, and there's a guy makes these videos, Dissipator. Yeah, those would be cool too. I've always kind of thought, how cool it would be that the barrel comes right up to the standard length with the thing, the Dissipator. And I remember they were around for a while. There's a lot of companies that made them. The Dissipator or the Dissipator setup, the uppers were actually made by several different companies. So when, you get the upper, take it off your gun, throw it on there, and away you go. But that'd be cool to have too, Then they got some kind of weird setup. It's almost 700 beans, designated marksman, where it has some special front sight block or gas block with no front sight on it, prong flash hider with a triangular handguard with a flat rail receiver. I don't even know if they ever made something like that back in the day, but it's pretty neat looking. It'd be something just to have to say you have type of deal, whether it's historically accurately correct or not. But yeah, Black Friday sales, I don't really think, and I went to Sportsman's Warehouse, I think like Monday or Tuesday. I had to pick up a couple boxes of ammo to test in the guns, and they did have the brand there, so I grabbed a couple boxes of ammo, and I run out of hops number 9, so I had to go get a jug of that. But when I went in there, usually at this time, back during the Great Panic, they had a numbers. You had to take a number and wait, and the little screen with your number, and they usually have 2 or 3 men behind the counter. Well, I kind of went early too. They're just open less than an hour, and there's one guy half asleep sitting there, and he see me coming up, and he's like, "Hey, what can I help you with?" I said, "Just gonna look at some ammo out here, and not so much getting worked up over. How come the Bills have never had Black Friday?" The Bills? Oh, never have a Black Friday. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. All right, good morning. Happy Thanksgiving. XM177E2, yes. That's kind of the one I was trying to get. I want to get the one that is a rifle, so I ain't got to screw around. And they actually make them with the original, that Colt collapsible buttstock was made out of aluminum, and I believe they go and have them made out of aluminum, and it's only 2 positions, closed and open, just like the originals. That if I was going to get the carbines, I'd add that, because they have several variations that are pistols, okay, that have a brace, not a stock. And I remember years ago, back in the late 70s, early 80s, they made that one gun shop I worked in, all them guys would get is all this weird shit. They had an actual semi-automatic AR-10 in there. I got a photo somewhere. I'll try to find it. I think, I don't know if I'm holding the AR-10 and it's next to me or something. I think it might have been. They had FNFALs and all this other stuff. But they went and they had the an AR with that weird squared off handguard for the rifle for the M209. I don't believe they had any type of a launcher. But then they got the carbine, and I think back then it really didn't matter whether it was pinned and welded. I don't remember, but I remember they had one of the carbines with a long, just fake suppressor on there. And the guy goes, "That's where you can get this cool short gun." Put that flash hider on there. It was like 4 inches long or something, or 5 inches long. And then he goes, "Now you can more or less have like the little, they call them CAR carbines or something, with the thing on there." I remember they holding one of them. They had that. And that stuff back then, you look at it now after 40 years, oh, $500-600. That was a shitload of money back then. 6mm ARC. No, because when I started doing the different calibers and when reloading was, feasible years ago, I went with the 6.8 Remington. Actually, I found some reloads in a box here. I can't remember when I was developing that. I kind of quit because getting the AR system to balance, and you have to watch out because like the 6.8 and the 6.5 Grendel, some of the loads they got out there are for a bench rest rifle. When you try to load them and put that in an AR, you're going to have all kinds of friggin' problems. I found a bunch of brass that it blew the friggin' primers out and everything. It was like a disaster. So that was another thing to do, some more research. Then they come up with that Valkyrie, and I had some billeted 80%. There was a guy at a flea market. He had two. They're beautiful, two sets. And he sold them to me for nothing because I guess he was using a router with a vacuum cleaner to do them. For some reason, he got them from somebody that was closing out. He gave them to me, and I was gonna complete one of those 80%ers because it was mated upper and lower, and I was going to build a Valkyrie on that system on that. But I found out that anything that you're driving over 4,000 feet per second and more, even though it's sending that bullet out there, one guy who's into reloading and all these weird calibers like this, he said they wear the barrels out after about 1,200 rounds. Your barrel's shot out. Okay, and that is something there. The 6mm ARC, I kind of gave up because they had the 6.5 Creedmoor. That I did some work with. I like that cartridge. I have that Savage Access. I actually built an AR-10 platform in 6.5 Creedmoor. I think I still got the headspace gauges for it. But that cartridge I really do like. But then they come up with a 6mm Creedmoor a couple of years later. Once that was super popular, they come up with a 6. Now the 6mm ARC, I gave up even getting info and that on it. Let me see what this is. Yeah, it's probably supposed to 243 caliber, 2020, low recoil, extra long range, designed for F-16 M4 platforms. Yeah. Because I had a thing, and I had a lot of build videos on YouTube before I had to take them all down because I guess they considered me building an AR or is modifying or something. And I had a goal. I wanted to get one in all the calibers. Okay, I have one in 7.62 by 39. I have one in 6.5 Grendel, 6.8 Remington Special Purpose, and I did build. I can't remember one of the 460s, 480s. I put that upper together. I got cast bullets. I was powder coating them. And I fired a couple test rounds out of that thing. I still had some of the ammo left over. And I mean, you thought firing a 45-70 trapdoor was tough. That just, and it's like more money, more expenses going on to practice. I went and sold the upper, the bullet molds, everything all in one shot. Some guy seen it, grabbed it, happier and gone. Okay, I mean, like the 500 Beowulf or whatever. I kind of was going to do that, but then you're tying up a lot of money. And then when you try to liquidate these things, okay, and that's why I always put the caliber on the charging handle. I would get it on there, be it 300 blackout, 6.8 rum. So when you pick it up, you know this is not 223. And I found that most people, irregardless what you tell them, and I've gotten into arguments at a show where this guy comes up, he looks at this. I said, look, this is a custom built gun, and this gun shoots 7.62 by 39, the same round that goes in AK-47. This doesn't shoot 223 or 5.56. And he gets in an argument. He takes his phone out, sees a generic gun on sale for, like at the time was 5 beans, and he's telling me, well, you want 7 for this, you're trying to rob me. And I said, first of all, you didn't even offer to pick the damn thing up or any kind of exchange here. Okay, you're looking at this. And he got irate, and I said, do you understand that this is not shooting the cartridge? And he had some kind of conniption fit or went ballistic. And I said, this is not shooting. This is not what you think it is. He just sees the shape of the gun and automatically assumes it's a 5.56 rifle. Okay. Oh, I drink Yingling in the house. That's a good beer overall. That's what I'll probably be drinking later on today. But probably with dinner, I'll have some of that Spanish wine I like. By Yingling. And if I go out, I know one guy, after like 6 or 7, he always opens the bar up for people that have had enough family time and would like to come out for like all his customers. And I don't know if me and the wife feel up to it, we'll go down there because basically it'll be all the people we know that go to that place. Will be in there. Kind of everyone brings some leftovers with them or something, and might do that, or just sit home and watch TV. You know, it is cold. See, I was lucky. We went out yesterday morning. It was 65 degrees out there at 7. Went to the range, fired the gun, took our time, fired some handguns, got a little target practice in. Come home, and this morning it's a different story. It's quite cold. Yeah, them ice cold beers, the taste is nice and crisp, but they don't go down well when you're freezing. 15 minutes. Yeah, but that's about it. And tomorrow, my wife got some kind of. I'm not going anywhere for Black Friday, and I've been looking online. I'm gonna wait till Black Friday, Cyber Monday, see if there's any deals. And the only thing I'm gonna probably pick up is some ammunition. That's why I've been trying to pushing to test all this ammo and get the videos up. And like some of the guns, the different, if you go with the 55 grain, depending on it, it kind of shoots 3 or 4 different brands somewhat uh, all the same. Okay, very consistent. There's not one that stands out. Every now and again, you're getting 1.5 inch groups out of 4 different brands of ammo, and one you get 7/8 of an inch. And that's the cartridge you want to buy for that gun. But if you're shooting that ammo and a couple others, like the 1 in 8s or the 1 in 7s, that's why I did all this experimenting to figure out what I want to get, because ammo ain't cheap. And it's always good to buy the stuff by the case online from somebody on sale. Um, I have it stocked up. Actually, I'm using, it was PPU ammo, the 55 grain. I bought a case with 1,000 rounds, and it was on some flash sale years ago. And I mean, it was under, that 1,000 rounds was under $3. Okay, it was one of these weird deals. And I had that stuff. I used to carry it with me to the flea markets and the gun shows. And kind of, some of it went, but I still had a big pile of it. I've been shooting that up. I'm going to do a video and show you guys the bin of 5.56 brass that I've accumulated during this testing. And that opens the door for, that's why I'm going to go to 1 in 7 with this build, because that ridiculous 8-pound keg of powder I bought, the Reloader 15.5, you can load 75 grain bullets with it. I got a load recipe for it. So what I'm going to do is get some PPU 75 grain FMJ bullets and try to develop a load to go in the rifles with the faster twist. And if I can do that and use that powder up, I did it with the 22-250. It's a fantastic powder. 6.5 Creedmoor had a killer load developed for 140 grain bullet or something. I did 100 rounds of that. And see, not a lot of load data with that new powder. Okay, it's difficult. And it's funny. It does weird crap with like your extreme spread and your velocities. And it's kind of like as you load it a little and you get to one point, then all of a sudden it just struck. There was another guy that's been reloading what said the same thing happened to him. Running on his chronograph, he gets all this weird stuff, and then you hit that one spot. And I mean, it's 10 or lower on the standard deviation. And you're only talking, with me, I'm only talking maybe a half a grain or something of powder. And there's a huge difference in the performance of this powder. Okay. And I mean, my buddy's 22-250. I tuned that up for him. He's probably running around out there today shooting at coyotes or something that are attacking his cows. But yeah, it was amazing. I was sitting there out in the lounge showing the targets. And I remember the owner of the bar was wondering, why is he bringing a folder? Is he selling insurance or something? They're looking. And I said, no, I made him some ammo. That's what I do. And they're looking and asking questions. So I said, yeah, you need some custom work done, you know where to come. But of course, they're all just common folk that don't have a bunch of money. So I load them up a box of ammo. They last them a year. But that's how the cookie crumbles, more or less. Yeah, so this year, I don't think we're going to see, and they really haven't advertised. I haven't got a flyer from Sportsman's Warehouse. I got one from Cabela's or something, because they're over towards Raleigh. I got a flyer from them, and they only had like a few guns in there. They're mostly selling camping clothing, coolers and stuff, little stoves is a big deal, boats, canoes, kayaks. So I mean, and it's rough. The gun market is rough. And if you go on to and I'll tell you how rough it is, how an indicator. This is what I use you guys into mill surplus or just things like that. I'm going to go here to Gun Broker and call up my watch list. And if you go to Lock, Stock, and Barrel, just type in a seller, go there, go find anything that has a little L and B in that in the corner, a gun. He's got 7 pages. And what's up in this upcoming auction, it's going to end in another week or so, is, and this is how I get an indication, there's stuff there I have not seen in 30, 40 years. Okay. D-Max model 100P pistol. It's kind of based on a Sten gun. And D-Max model 100C carbine. There's a bunch of FNFALs. Well, now, we got 10 days more. So Mark Lamar with the collapsible stock, that little thing's up. And also Valkyrie Arms M3A1 semi-auto grease gun carbine. I remember when I was looking at one of them in a gun shop out in California when I was in the Navy in the 80s. I forget, the guy wanted 900 or grand for it. And it has a 16-inch barrel. And of course, we're in the service, so he had them allotment forms that you sign them and they just pull the damn money right out of your paycheck. Okay. They used to sell us just about cars, anything. As long as you were in the service, you were paying. And I looked at it and, $900. That is almost a month's pay. Okay. Or something like that. I don't know if that, I think that's the number that sticks in my head. It might have been a little bit less. I'm not quite sure. But it was an awful lot of money. And, so one of them is up. And I kind of put a bid on. Let me see what the hell it's going for now. Ooh, $2,275. 23 bids. And that's still got 10 days left. Where's mine? Mine, what the hell did I put a bid in? See, this is how I keep track of stuff. I put 500 on it. And, when they first had it up there. That way I can see, okay, here's mine. And there's somebody that banged it. Then there's one guy that's verified after me. Then there's somebody that's just driving. And one guy topped it off, 2,275. Whoa. And I have not seen one of them in God knows how long. Colt Pre-Ban SP1AR, 1,005. Now they got some of them Daewoo's, not the new ones, the old ones. The one with the collapsible stock. If you watch Misha, this guy has a fantastic assortment of all this stuff, and he covers all of this niche stuff. Nothing there he's hanging on to that's, under a K, unless he gets bored and talks about, Nagants and stuff like that. He does do other things, but a lot of the stuff. Yeah, 35 years seems like yesterday. I don't know. Them guys are uptight and serious all the time. I mean, even the most screwed up ones I've seen, they got that discipline, the way they get dressed in the morning and fold their shirt just right and everything's perfect. They beat that shit in your head in the Marine Corps. And generally, they don't really have a sense of humor. Even them lifers I run into at the Veterans Post, they're pretty uptight. That's probably why I don't see any sailors. All right. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving. So let me go down this list. Yeah, if you guys are interested and got time, go to Gunbroker. I got like about a whole page of this. I got these different FNs. The Daewoo's are going for the little folding stock right now is 855 bid and 700 for the rifle. And then I think has a pick rail welded to the receiver. They got a Poyer Lithgow FN rifle. That's at 2K. Pre-ban FN FAL match type 3. That's over 2K. And they have something, this is weird. Smith Manufacturing Group FG42 Type 1 8mm Mauser semi-automatic rifle circa 2012. 4K and a bit of change. So yeah, there's some really off the wall things. I never knew they made the FG42. That's the one that has the Volkssturm Jaegers, had that gun with the clip comes in the side. I never knew they made a semi-automatic version of it. Oof. And if stuff like that is coming up, that means people are hurting bad. I mean, that's the stuff. I've had some really rare guns, but I had them, I shot them. Things come up, have to buy a house, lose your job, have to move halfway across the country. Okay, you do, liquidate this stuff to help out. Okay, I mean, I'm lucky that things are stable and I can actually accumulate some of it. I still am not that wealthy to keep everything. Okay, but I do try to accumulate some nicer things and hang on to them. Other than BS that I test, a lot of it. There he is, Teleosaurus. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. I'm glad you could make it. Another one of the guys when I first started. We did our Nagants, and you still have the hand gnomes and all that, the black powder stuff. I remember we had that. I had that one matchlock built by that fella in Virginia. You had several items done by him in that time period. All we need is the gun geek and Lock Cabin Loon. But I don't know, his chick magnets, I guess those are the videos he's putting up. He's got issues, and he's also something, the last video he made, there's an awful lot of snow. There's an awful lot of snow in the northern latitudes, especially in New York and up there. Yeah. But those are some interesting firearms. I mean, I was looking somebody, what's his name there over in Hungary, Kappenball. He was looking at something and had the drawing where the guy's sitting on horseback and he goes and loads his thing and sits in a chair and fires it, with a little. That's pretty cool. But yeah, and Bullock's still making them. He's doing something that's. He goes to the butcher store and gets bone, and then does these supposed like ivory inlays, just cattle bones and stuff. I mean, that guy, his stuff is first class. Of course, in Europe, you can't own a normal handgun, so yeah, wealthy people like the recreations he makes. But yeah, like I was saying, man, the geek. Let's see if the geek in the 6mm ARC. Yeah, that's something I'm not probably going to get into. We'll see. Because up in Canada, they don't have Thanksgiving. At least not on our, not in the same time we do. They have something, but not the same thing as the U.S. Nope. Don't look like he's scheduling anything. He likes taking my time slot on Sundays. Yeah, see, this is the thing that's bad for us that collect mill surplus. Okay, I was seeing like I bought one of those Star 30 pistols or something from one of the uh, surplus sites, and generally when them pistols come up, they're gone like within weeks. They're sold out, you know. But now they've actually lowered the price. But the thing is, you know, I've always said that I'll lower the price. I'm like, yeah, but then they're gone, and like 5 years pass before I see them offered again. Okay, but it doesn't look like people have enough disposable income, even on that lower tier. You know, 300, 400. You know, to me, I worry about something in that price range later. You know, the stuff that's a K and over, you got to watch that shit. But you know, and it's like any of these, like with the budget guns, get them reasonable enough, test them, go to liquidate them, and whatever I have in them, it's fairly easy to find somebody interested to exchange that and not lose anything, you know. Uh, but you know, when you start getting up to a certain thing, you realize people don't have disposable income, which I'm surprised. I know they brought a ton of CZ70s in. I bought the one that was screwed up that, you know, years ago when they were tough to find a while back. And the dealer was a local dealer. He told me he had that and a Glock or something. And he goes, he ordered a few of them for his store. And he said the condition, they said it's in good shape now. He goes, I'm looking at fair. He goes, I mean, these guns are beat up. And he goes, I'm not buying them anymore. He goes, I'm not buying them from this place again. And a lot of people bought those Berettas, the 84s, they were pretty beat up and they had cracked grips and stuff. They were charging close to $4 for it. You know, I got mine, I forget, and I got it from DK. And when I got it, there was some rust on the outside. And you know what it is? Somebody shot the damn thing and never cleaned the bore out. So the bore looked like crap. And, you know, once I put it in the vise and just took an oversized bronze brush and ran it through there's nothing wrong with it really. It may be a little on the rough side. I didn't run the scope down because you shoot it and it looks again. So it could be a tad bit on the somebody didn't clean it or there's some light rust in there. But it shoots good, shoots fine. So I don't care. But yeah, it's tough. And what's gonna happen is like I'm looking at this, like these things are going for 2K, 4K. I mean, I have not seen them in a very long time. You very rarely run across them. So there's somebody out there with deep enough pockets that if you got something that's super cool in that and you're getting it seen by the right people, you will get the money. But I picked up a Star Model B that was made in the 40s, and those are the ones the wooden grips and had '08 on the barrel and that. And there was a bunch of them that came in, and the time they came in, I don't know how many years ago. One guy was put them on a gun broker. He must have had 5 of them or something, and he put one up, and they would go well over 4, approaching 5. And I said, you know, I wouldn't mind having one, but that's getting a little, you know, and the condition on them. These have been used pretty good. All right. And so he sold them out, and I tried bidding up. I didn't really want to go over 4 beans because I forget what the hell they were when they had a group of them come in. You know, it was a little bit under 4, and they were going close to 5. So I passed on it. Well, I seen this in an auction, and like I'm doing here is one thing. So I go, I said, you know what? I'll go, yeah, and the percentage is like 24 or 28% tacking on being able to bid early or go live. There's a percentage for that, and probably a 24% commission. Okay. So I put 180 on it, and I said, if I get that, it'd be cool. Or I didn't even think of it. I said, there's no way in hell somebody's going to see this and want one of these old guns and pick it up because it was in good shape. Nope. Get an email. Hey, you got it for 180. Now, irregardless, but it cost me about another 120 to get it delivered to me. It come out just under 4. So, and that's 25 for the transfer. So you're probably looking 270 something for 180. Now, who got hurt? I didn't mind the price. To me, it's okay. All right, and I didn't expect it, so I ain't worried about it. But who got hurt is, say this individual purchased this. I know he had to pay at least 3.5, okay, for that piece at the bottom right, unless he scored it from somebody that needed money or something. So when a hammer falls at 180, I don't know if these people are just giving them the hammer because they're hammering me with the fees, or I don't know if they take 10% off. So basically, if this guy paid 3, say he paid 3 for it, he's ending up with about 50% of the value when he tried to sell it in an auction. So there's two sides to this, and well, it's like coins. The key dates, you could take Morgan silver dollars, The key dates, the ones that are 200, 300, the coin dealers tell you, those are always the one if somebody saves up their money and comes in and pays you for them odd ones because they're hard to find. And it's kind of the same way. If you got something really bizarre like that Valkyrie grease gun carbine, okay, obviously there's a couple people in there that really want that gun if it's up that high already. 2.5K, I think. So yeah, now is not the time to sell anything. Now is not the time to try to sell hunting rifles or shotguns or, luckily I got rid of that one trap combo and got my money out of it a couple of years ago. But some of them trap guns, they go over a K, and trying to sell them now, I don't know how the hell people afford it. That's why I had to give that hobby up. I mean, just shotgun shells were bankrupting me going there and doing that. Ivory inlay on a 600 Nitro Express. Happy Thanksgiving, America. Yep. Thanksgiving to all. President King Trump. All right. We can go there if you want. But yeah, and you're right. I believe the economy is not going to improve. There's a lot of people out of work. Actually, somebody I know, a friend of mine, he's been out of work. I don't know how long. I'm going to go check on him probably over the weekend here. So, yeah, I don't know where it's going. I know silver, it's been crazy. The last when I checked this morning, it's at $53. It was down at $50 an ounce. Goes up to 55, drops down to 49, 48 for a few days, and then shoots the hell back up. That's not good. Okay. People sitting on a stack of silver think it's great, but the fact it's doing that, if you watch a lot of the influencers and they talk to the guys in the coin shop, that's not a good sign for the economy. And even though when I got into the stacking and the stacking channel, these people put out as much content as I do, and every day kind of contradict themselves. It's just insane. And the bottom line is, you know, you have to have a way. Like the guy says, I'd rather have this than fiat currency. Okay. You can't walk in to the gas station and say, here's an ounce of silver, it's worth $50. Give me $50 in gas. That ain't gonna happen. Okay, so you can have, you know, treasure trove. Let me see if I still left that ounce of silver floating around up here. If I put it in the vault. No, I put it all together, do a head count. If I got one of these gold bills, should have a contest and give this away. I was trying to see if they make anything that's close to gold backs because they say they're not counterfeited, and this, you know, this is thicker than hell. You know, it's not a gold back. But, yep. So here we are on Thanksgiving. Mrs. is going berserk in the kitchen, preparing a feast for about 20 people, and there's only 2 of us. So the raccoons will dine well during the weekend. little fur balls. You get all leftover food and stuff that's gonna spoil. I forget what the hell she found in the thing, an outdated can of corn or something. It's a year or 2 past the date. Dump that out there. Gone. They kind of know when it's Thanksgiving too. You know, if it's warm enough and I go out there and sit out there drinking a beer in the dark, they'll come up on the porch and look at me, wanting to have something. Well, yeah, I remember you said you were successful on your hunt. I don't know, will the coyotes come and stand on your back porch looking for leftovers? Uh, but yeah, I never had elk. Okay, deer, venison, and that is it much different than venison? Ate a lot of venison. That's up in New York. That's what we had, white-tailed deer. Not like these little midget deers they have down here. I know when I was in South Carolina and Charleston, we go out to the park and I remember I'm looking at these tracks and I said it looks like deer tracks, but I said, you know, they're tiny. You know, our deer, good size ones on the hook is well over 200 pounds, and these things here, or when you dress them, it gets them down 180 or close to 2 for a good sized whitetail. When you dress these deer down 80 pounds or something. Yeah, I think they used to you could bag 4 of them in a year down there. I don't know. I never did hunt down there. I never got my hunting license. But yeah, elk. I don't know because the neighbors, the dogs, all this other crap, they don't come out in the daylight no more. And plus, we cut all these trees down in the backyard. You know, they got. Let me think. They got about a 20-yard dash from where we feed them by our tank to where they got cover and can go up a tree. So they kind of don't like coming out until it's really dark. Okay, and it's hard to film them. You know, when they're nursing, they'll come out in the daylight, the females, to get food, and they'll come, you know, that time of year, it don't get dark till later. They'll come with the little ones when it's quiet and bring them there for us to look at them. But now you got to go out there when it's pitch black, and it's like by 7 o'clock, it's dark. So they don't film well. And you don't really see them. You hear them crunching that dry dog food. That's how you know they're there. You know. And when it's cold, they come in a mob, about 4 or 5 of them. And they eat real quick and then they take off because there's farms and all kinds of places they go in the middle of the night. But yeah. Well, I have some of them ones that I had. I smoked one yesterday, but it's too cold. I go out and sit on the porch and smoke them. You know, but it's too cold now. That's why I grabbed one yesterday. Sat there after getting done working around the house about 2, 3 o'clock. It was about 70 degrees. But yeah, I still get a few. That's another that's another expenditure. Go to a cigar shop and get a bundle. You know, you're lucky to get away some halfway decent ones at $70. It's pretty easy to spend well over a C-note approaching two. You know, another added expense. That and wild mountain sheep. Well, I never lived out uh, west. I know the sheep is good hunting, elk. We didn't no sheep up in the mountains in New York because it's different too. Out west, the Rockies, it's a different style mountain range uh, than what we got up there in the Adirondacks. A little bit different. So the coyotes will get nothing. You know, people break them on me because I feed these little raccoons. There's people who got videos. They take coyotes like a dog, and I don't know. The ones I've seen around me, they're pretty large, mangy looking animal. I don't really believe they're quite friendly either. So one guy had one. He tried getting it to go in his cooler and get a beer, and when the thing bit down into the beer can, it punctured it. He kind of dragged it over to him leaking, and I really don't know why you do that. I don't have the raccoons fetch things for me because the way they are, once they get their little hands on it, it's theirs, and if they can pick it up and run with it, you'll never see whatever they latch onto again. Uh, so yeah, there is no training them to do circus tricks or anything. But all right, so the coyotes won't get nothing. We didn't have them quite much until a few years ago. Actually, my neighbor went and got a bolt action rifle and 300 blackout and got a suppressor rig and everything. They were paying a bounty, and you know he's retired and shit, so he got this rig set up, which actually pretty cool. 300 blackout. You know, you're talking you don't want to shoot over a couple hundred yards, and they were given a bounty for a while, and that's what he was going to do is go earn some extra firearms buying cash by popping off some. And I only seen one across the road by these farms, a few miles up the road from me, from where my development and the highway is. And it's a long haul into the township proper. Okay, it's like I live in a town where the geographic size of it is huge. And actually, I'm in another county, but I'm still got an address to the town. And there's several large farms on the road going into town. Um, that's where I seen the coyote. There was a really nice red fox that used to run around out there. I don't know whatever happened to him. I only get gray ones by me. Um, the ones I took photos of, they're kind of a gray fox. And that family's lived somewhere around this development for ever since I moved in. Very rarely did you see them. Okay, you catch a glimpse of them one time when they're moving around in the daytime. Uh, very stealthy animal. But then once they realized the raccoons are eating, why not them? So that's when they started showing up and wouldn't mind because we didn't try killing them on sight. So, but they did when they brought the dogs in and that they did move away for a few years. But the way that they're coming into the yard, they got set up instead of in that direction where the dogs are. They go down to another coming up from somewhere in a wooded area where they don't have any large hounds. So they've come back. But they don't really, like somebody, oh, they kill chickens and this. So I ain't got chickens. I ain't got no animals. I ain't got nobody, you know, just me and animals. And they're there anyway, whether I feed them or not. They're going to run around through here and do weird shit on their own. They don't need my help. But yeah, the coyote across the road, I don't know, Dry. It's kind of, I thought it was some sort of dog. Okay. It was somewhat good size. It, wasn't tiny like uh, you see these people fooling with them in the videos. It was a larger animal. It must have been an adult male or something. And it looked, the fur on it and that, not a lovable creature. Um, I know my buddy, that's what I was working on, that 22 250 the guy got, is where his property is. He told me he bought some giant farm. He actually tried running a small farm there. He's got chickens. He's got, I think he's got a couple pigs and some cows. Um, but he said the way it goes, there's a stream that runs across, and there's an area that's all a thicket that was never cleared. And he goes, they're down there, is where they are. He goes on the very edge of my property, and he goes in an area. He goes, I've never been down there, because it's inaccessible, I guess, or whatever the hell. I don't know. But he says that's where they all are, and he wants to pick them off. I said, all right. Yeah, I really don't know what's going on. They do send us a text every now and then saying that they're okay and they're fine. Not to worry about them at the moment. But hopefully they'll end this nonsense up because that whole eastern half of the country is screwed up. And it is. But thank you. And thanks for, the well wishes and that, Carson. Have a good Thanksgiving, you and your family too. Yeah. Wolves, that where they brought the damn, we call them mountain lions or whatever. We had them in New York, pumas, whatever the hell you want to call them. But they went extinct. By one guy said he shot one in the 20s. I met some old timers said he popped one in the 20s. Of course, that was before they really had paved roads that went up the upper part of the state. And I think it was a Winchester 73. He told me he got him with a soft lead bullet. And they've been extinct in New York for quite a while. Now, I know they brought them back out west in California and that. And they've actually lost people on bike trails, and joggers are killed by them. Wolves, when I went to Europe, down there where the hell my family was, almost towards the border of Slovakia. When you go into the villages, they tell you there's wolves out in the woods. You go wandering the hell around there in the rural areas in the wintertime, they'll attack you. Okay, and then they go, you can't kill them because they're protected or whatever. So yeah, the old European stories being lost in the woods in winter and a pack of wolves come and gonna gnaw on your ass is still relevant today. But yeah, I don't know. You know, the reason that the animals were extinct, okay, is because they didn't interact well with commercial farms and human beings. Okay, so to bring them back, okay, no elk, no deer, no hunting, one step closer now. You know, because I think they're supposed to, it's like the deer population and that, they'll issue more, you know, if there's illness or something, they're supposed to control that, these ecologists. But I don't know, it's crazy as shit. I don't know how it is out west. Okay, like I said, all I know is what the hell we had up there. Yeah, just before they get ate by them. Yeah, it ain't a zoo. See, I don't know. I don't know if they had wolves up in New York at one time. See, a lot of those animals by the time I was around are gone. Okay, and I know, like I said, they have bobcats up there, but they're tough to find. I know some guys, and this I'm talking back in the 20s and 30s. People said they hunted these animals. Post World War II, that didn't happen, and you don't see them. Okay, and as far as wolves, I don't know. I think maybe on the border by Canada there was a wolf or something. You know, but yeah, I know out west towards the Rockies and all the stuff they're doing. But see, I don't have a lot of experience or know much about it. And I guess where we are, I don't think we don't have wolves here in North Carolina. Black bears. They go and build these friggin' developments, and the poor bears ain't got nowhere to goddamn move to, and that's where they end up interacting with people, and that's where the problems all start. But I don't know. Maybe they should send the wolves, capture them, and send them to like Chicago and Washington D.C. and release them. See what happens then. Maybe they'll take care of the wildlife there, or even better, L.A. Huh. Oh, okay, so what time is it? 11 something. So we've had about 20 people show up. So everybody having a good Thanksgiving wishes and everything else. No plans for Friday. My wife wants to go actually grocery shopping to get stuff. Okay, feral dogs. Actually, outside of feral dogs were a problem at one time in California. Around the major cities, they'd release these dogs and feral cats. We got two of them at the Legion, and we got the box car for the 40 and 8, the big World War One thing, the 40 and 8. So there's a railroad box car at the edge of our parking lot. Our property goes on. There was always some kind of mangy cat under there. I used to bring them when they closed it down for COVID. We used to sit on the lawn because we got a lawn with horseshoe pits and a building that, you know, they used to have summer barbecues and they do the outdoor cooking there. So we used to just come with some lawn chairs when it was closed during the COVID, probably against the law. I'd sit there with a cooler beer, and this cat would come out from underneath the boxcar. So I'd give him some of the stuff. I'd bring him some stuff that, you know, I was feeding the raccoons with. And then it got to where every time he heard us talking, he'd kind of come out and look at us, and I'd bring him something. And I guess somehow there's a family of now Legion's got like 3 or 4 cats, and this one woman, she's retired. Whenever she shows up on a Sunday or something, she'll bring him something to eat. Now you can't touch these things. She tried that. That's why she has gloves on. Even the little tiny ones, they'll maul your ass. You try grabbing a hold of them or touching them. But the little one will come up to her and stand by her, and she'll give it something, and he'll sit there and eat it. And it's kind of like now when her car pulls up, you see them all come out from underneath the box car, or they sit there. Of course, if I go over and walk towards them, they'll scatter. But feral hogs also. Feral hogs can be a very big problem. I didn't realize a domesticated pig, once it gets loose, it takes about a month and a half. It becomes feral. Okay, start growing tusks and all kinds of weird shit. I know they just devastate crops, and they're a pretty miserable animal to run across when they're out in the wild. And you can get hurt, and they're tough to take down too. It's like hunting boar in Europe. That was always the thing. Wild boar hunting was a big deal. Anyway, yeah, yeah, catch island. I mean, that's where the feral animals are a big problem, is in uh, heavy populated areas. You know, we got 2 or 3 of them. I don't think feral cats are a huge problem in Greensboro. And well, they get the barn cats. We got a couple of them that'll run through the yard here. We had one of them show up. We had to run them off, but they're coming. You know, I guess people keep them around the barns for rat control. And a couple of feral ones come up, but they kind of disappeared. We got people in the neighborhood that you just get a cat, leave the damn thing outside, don't feed it. You know, sees the raccoons dying, and then there's all kinds of friggin' issues. Cats try eating the raccoon's food. And when I first had them come here, they were more wild. There, one raccoon, he chased him halfway across the friggin' yard. That cat never come back in my yard again. I wonder whatever happened to him. Morning. Oh, that's another thing, Teleosphorus. You actually have somebody from animal control working and doing something. Okay. You know, that's one of the biggest problems in the city. But there's people here that go and get these rescue animals, like these ladies that live up the street. They'll come down and get all these little tiny little itty bitty dogs, like 5 or 6 of them. They got them on this leash like an octopus web. And they walk the little bastards down the road, and you know they're harmless. But they had a bunch of them, and I noticed I'm looking at them. They're kind of old, and that they don't actually live there long, because I believe they're adopting just. I guess rescue dogs can be elderly or whatever. They had a larger dog that used to just walk. He walked slower than me when I go down the street. And it's kind of like they change a lot. So I guess they keep them towards the end of their time. You know, I don't know. Now I only got 2 or 3 of them when they go. So, yeah, dogs, wolves, cats, friggin', who the hell knows? Raccoons, possums. Well, guys, I don't know. Probably time for me see if I can contact my family up at home. They'll probably be calling me in a little while. And I hope that answers everybody's questions. Black Friday, I don't think is going to be as thrilling as it was. Um, and then Thanksgiving, be a little on the slow side. Let's see what we got here. Newest slow watches that we're getting into the trash. Yeah, I mean, they're not they're not to be screwed with. I mean, that's what they used to do. I remember watching this mafia movie or something. They just take you and throw you to the pigs. That's how they used to hide your deceased corpse. All right, I see everybody else is getting ready to go. Time to start cooking. Yep. So I'm glad I could catch all you guys, talk to you a little bit, and that in the morning. It's like I'm gonna probably see what's on the TV, see how the wife is in the kitchen there, and but I don't know. It don't look like it's going to be a good one. And like people said, I don't know what the next year is going to bring us in terms of the economy and our hobbies and all that other fun stuff. But have a happy Thanksgiving, gentlemen. And I probably will do another live on Sunday, tell you about all the thrilling details of Black Friday, which my wife's going basically grocery shopping is what she's going to do and stack the freezer up. You know, no clothing, appliances, or TVs like at Costco. I've been through that before. God help us. All right. So have a Thanksgiving, gentlemen, and thank you for stopping by.